do finance first.
Yeah, but you don't want to open the meeting, you just want to go straight to finance?
Yeah. You'll close that and then we'll start the bulk thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to call the finance meeting to order. If you look at your packet, we have a number of items to address. The first is the minutes from the March 2nd, 2026 meeting. May I have a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes?
Then finance.
You are.
Okay, sorry. A second. There's too many meetings.
Yeah, I know.
Dragged into a committee, I'm not.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, bank reconciliations, I have the bank reconciliations through April here. You gentlemen would like to review them and mention them. Noted, we're trying to be more timely with these, so if you need to review anything, please let me know. Yeah.
Does someone put their coat there?
You don't have access to the document.
There's another coat.
Yeah, there's a bad, but there's really not to sit on it.
Well, I barely escaped it. Hey, Dominic, we're in the middle of the paper.
At least the paper disturb.
To look into initial if you're in favor of them. And date, please. May the board be with me.
Gossips.
You did, that's so.
You don't have to both sign.
We don't.
Just one second.
There you go.
Thank you kindly, thank you kindly. Next in the packet is actually a certificate of deposit renewal request. For those of you that were not here during the last year, we had some additional funds that we were available to put into higher earning accounts, i.e. CDs. There's 3 different accounts. We have them scheduled to roll. So one was a 6-month CD, one was a 12-month CD, and one was an 18-month CD. The 6-month CD has since matured. And so it's just sitting there not doing anything. So I would like to roll it back into another 6-month CD. And I'm making that recommendation. Can I have a motion and a second to approve that recommendation, or would you like to discuss it?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, great, I will take care of that. The last 2 pages in your meeting packet are payments for approval. And obviously, those last 3 elements also have to go to the full board. So the first thing in your packet are pilots received and payable. So as you know, we collect pilots on the various pilot agreements that we have issued. Those pilot payments in turn get allocated out to the city of Hudson, the Hudson City School District, and Columbia County based on a ratio of the total mill rate across those 3 taxing jurisdictions and each property's share thereof. So you can see, according to this document in front of you, that we've received pilot payments so far from the Depot District, from Hudson Terrace, from Pocketbook Hudson, and from SEC. With the exception of Hudson Terrace and maybe Depot District. I'm going to go over that with Mike a little later. But for Hudson Terrace is for the whole year, they just pay it once. Pocketbook and SEC are on a twice-a-year payment plan, so this just represents their first payment that they provided. And you can see the grand total of those 4 are $424,933.57. And you can see the very top of the page, how much is going to be issued to the city, to the county, and to the Hudson City School District. So 135.8 to the city of Hudson, 77.6 to Columbia County, and 211.5 thousand to the school district.
And with respect to the depot district, because they pay based on their assessed value, this payment related to the city and county tax, there'll be a second one later in the year when we know what the school tax is.
What direction are we going?
Does anybody have any questions on the pilots payable? Okay, can I have a motion and a second to recommend that the pilot payments get approved by the full board?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, and then last but not least, these are the outstanding bills. You will notice that the first three are outstanding from prior years. That's because the first and the third, you'll note in the memo, both relate to 620 Union. That was a project that came before us, expired after its 3-year term. They owed a bit of money before they expired, and now they owe more because of the legal costs associated with dissolving the pilot agreement. We have not received escrow money from them yet, so those bills have not been able to be paid, but they are still owable. The one in the middle, the 18,000, again, that was an invoice that we didn't receive until actually early this year, but it was for last year. Again, there's not enough money in the escrow account for Penrose to pay for that bill, so until we get the escrow funds for those accounts, those will continue to be outstanding.
And with respect to those escrows, Penrose has authorized the check, but we haven't received it to make up the balance, so we can.
Does the vendor know that? Are they aware that that is being held? Okay, great. Okay,
They may request partials, we could pay what we have. See how that goes.
yeah.
Hello.
Hi, okay.
Okay, and then in terms of everything from the February 26th date down, you can see that the bills are basically one of three sets, Rodenhouse and Shaw, which is of course our attorney. In February, 2 of those payments are coming out of escrow accounts, and the third one is just for regular services on behalf of the IDA. Again, in March, the same thing. Rodenhouse and Shaw, an escrow payment and a general services payment, as well as the first quarter CEDC payment for the administrative services. Then April, Rodenhouse and Shaw, and then the one that's dated in May is the $8,500 for the fiscal audit. Does anybody have any questions on any of those bills? May I have a motion and a second to recommend that the bills get paid?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. And that's it. Does anyone on the finance committee have any issues that they would like to raise, questions or comments? Does anybody in the public have any questions they would like to raise or comments? Okay, given that, may I have a motion and a second to
I'll make a motion. I'll second one.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Finance committee is adjourned.
All right, it is 2:10 PM. I call to order the City of Hudson Industrial Development Agency meeting for the month of May, May 4th. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our meeting on April 6th. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda for approval is the bank reconciliations. Does anybody have any questions in regards to the bank reconciliations in front of us at this time?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve the bank reconciliations?
So moved.
Well, thank you. And a second?
I'll make second.
Excellent. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the reconciliations are approved. Next up for approval by the full body here is the bills. So everyone had an opportunity to review the bills that, as Treasurer Campbell explained, date back to 2024, primarily include 2026 bills. Anybody have any questions? May I get a motion to approve the bills? Excellent. And a second here.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, the bills have been approved. Then the last item on the agenda for approval is the renewal, the certificate of deposit. Does anybody have any questions in regards to renewing the CD? No. All right, in that case, may I get approval for the or may I get a motion to approve the renewal?
Motion to approve.
Excellent. Second. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? The renewals are approved. Thank you, everyone. Next on our agenda is a project update in regards to the depot lofts.
Chairman, would it be appropriate to ask the team from the depot loft to join us at the table for the presentation?
Yes,
So
please.
that not everyone's not having that look over your shoulder. Please come up. Jake Meglow is leading the team today, and as you know, the agency requested that we invite representatives from projects from time to time to come and give us an update with respect to the projects that they've worked on with us. And we're happy to have representatives from the Depot Loft apartment project here today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jake Meglio. I'm the Senior Head of Operations over at Galvin. I'm here with Oscar de Rosalia, Head of Operations, and our council. We're here after we were invited to answer some questions related to the pilot for the depot lofts as one of the stakeholders in that project.
You guys have a presentation that you would like to make?
We're just here to answer questions.
Okay.
I think that, you know, with respect to the pilot, you know, the pilot that you have is, was approved by the IDA. It provides that it's based on the assessed value, as it's calculated each year. And you did make your first payment, after opening on January 1. The IDA concluded that the project was completed by December 31st of 2025. And during the time between the approval and the completion date, the projects, all projects pay what they would pay if there was no project considered. And that may or may not include a partial assessment depending on the timing of the year. But there will be a new assessment put on the property effective. I guess as of, it was
It will be the May assessment roll effective July 1st, I think, right?
July 1st. And the assessor did review the project, and there is a change to the assessment. I think some of the questions that have come up, and certainly you can each ask after we get this rolling a little bit. But how is the leasing going? Because I think one of the issues was that there's a very tight band, and I think the IDA has been aware of this, that 12 of the 65 units were intended for residents with 80% of county median income. Fortunately, the way the government calculates median income is not at the city level, it's only at the county level. And that is about $86,000 in the most recent iteration. I think it gets updated in May each year. And the balance of the units at 130%. One of the issues that we've discussed is the fact that to underwrite the credit of the prospective tenant, the government provides that the owner of the facility would multiply the anticipated rent for the unit that the individuals or family are looking at and multiply that by 35 times. So if you have a $2,000 a month apartment, you're talking about $70,000. And if you have household income of 86, there's a very narrow band of people that would be eligible up to the 130%, which is what, about
117.
117. And so that was some of the difficulty that they have had in leasing up the project. But why don't we start, and then the agency members can jump in with that context and ask you, how is the rental process going?
Sure.
And I know I think I got a little bit ahead of myself in a newspaper article, but we counted the ones that were available on Zillow to come up with the
Yeah.
percentage of what you're doing. So if you could start back perhaps from December and give us an update and identify how we can work together to get these units rented.
Sure.
Can I just ask one clarifying question first? So you work for Galvin?
Yes.
You also work for Galvin?
Yes.
Okay,
The three of us are here as representatives of the
Galvin,
Depot District as stakeholder, which is Galvin. The Depot District is a joint
its own
venture.
entity, okay, fine.
It's its own entity as well as a joint venture. There are multiple owners.
And is there any, can you at some point address the issue of Bard's role?
Yeah, that was my question, because I thought somebody from Bard was gonna be here.
I'll
so I
address
just
all
wanted
of
to make
these
sure I
things.
wasn't confused.
I'll start with that actually. So first and foremost, the Depot District is its own entity. It owns that building solely. It's jointly run by Galvin and Baxter. Galvin was donated to Bard College, so a whole kind of network of corporate entities were donated to Bard College, and the way in which that corporate structure took place was through board transfers and through replacing the sole trustee of Galvin Initiatives with Bard College. Is that accurate?
Yeah, right.
Um,
Well, so Bard controls Galvin, so to speak. That being said, there is a separate board of directors that has been established to run the affairs of Galvin. So Galvin is its own, it needs to be its own distinct and unique entity, separate and distinct from Bard, with its own board of directors that is running day-to-day operations and decisions.
Who has selected that board that is separate from Bard?
the college.
Okay,
College placed board members on there.
okay.
And has that structure that you just described? It's happened, so does Bard have control of the
Yes,
entities now?
that's been
Yes.
executed. So in that, Galvin is one portion of the equity holders for the Depot building. Moving on to the lease ups, the 80% AMI units were relatively easy to lease up. Those moved quite quickly and were built, following the 10th collection plan. The 130s have been slower than we would have liked, although still kind of moving steadily. The quote offered was inaccurate. No offense, nothing personal there, but
At least you know how I got there.
we are upwards of 50% currently, kind of seeing some steady traction now that the weather's warming up. We're just as interested in as everyone else to see this building be occupied. But we're following the tenant selection plan in order to get there.
You just said 50% is
Yeah.
what you're occupied,
A little bit
A little bit over.
right now.
a little bit higher than 50% occupied, that's great.
What are the barriers that you run into?
Cost. Pricing,
Cost to size.
yeah.
What about parking?
I don't think that that's so much of a barrier. There's actually, we have some dedicated spots in that neighborhood.
Yeah, but it's still, it's charged, right? You still have to pay for it. It's not paid
Correct.
parking, correct?
Yeah, you are correct in that, but we don't really see that as being what people are saying is the obstacle. That's small fee.
Is the obstacle, the only obstacle so far is income levels, or is it cash on hand in order to sign a lease? And
I think it's cash on hand more than income levels, right? Because we have our, the tenant selection plan allows for a period to pass before we can look for qualifying tenants or, you know, other applicants.
Gotcha. So the rents may be
It's
closer to the market
It's a small
versus.
square footage, particularly the one bedrooms, and there were a lot of one bedrooms built compared to 2 and 3 bedrooms.
Got it.
I think, there's definitely a lot more one bedrooms available than anything else. And square footage wise, compared to the 2 or the 3s, they're pretty small. They're like, the majority of them are 580 square feet.
What are the sizes of the 2 and 3 bedrooms in comparison?
While you're testing.
Sorry,
Right
right.
now, I'm gonna give, so there's, most of the one bedrooms are, I think, like 580, and there's a couple that are at 7, there's a couple of larger ones. The 3 bedrooms are a pretty good size, I think they're like 9 and change, and the 2s, I think, range between like 6 and 7 something. They're not huge apartments. Like small bedrooms, great finishes, you know, great location, but,
There had been an opportunity for a tour after a previous meeting last fall because we would have to go as a group. As part of a public meeting. I think Chris Brown and I were the only ones that were available to go, but it's just done very well.
I'd be happy to report somebody individually if you know, so want it now.
Yeah, or if you want to rent one.
So since you guys seem to have a sense of what is what's keeping place from being rented at a higher percentage right now, what steps are being taken to do that besides, you know, the weather warming up?
So I think it was referenced in one of the packets earlier that we've started working with a leasing, sorry, what's the term?
A realtor.
A realtor. There you go. And we've seen some much better traction since partnering with them. They're able to kind of take a more diversified approach to marketing and just kind of access their networks. And then we've just seen that uptick at a kind of aligning with the season so that it doesn't seem like we need to start to adjust anything else.
I know you sent emails out to your other tenants. Has any other tenants from other apartments have taken advantage and moved in? Because I know there's an email sent out to other tenants in other locations. Has that been successful?
I couldn't say with 100% certainty, but I don't believe so.
I don't believe there've been any transfers from other properties.
No, I mean, okay, you have tenants, yeah.
Right, well,
Yeah, I
right,
believe
that it would have moved from another property, not that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
I will say, I think the majority of our other properties are substantially lower in rent than this one is, so I don't know that anybody would jump for the opportunity.
This is the only new building you have.
Yeah, to pay higher rent for a smaller square footage.
Right.
For the cash down, first, last security, is that what you're,
No,
asking
you
people?
can't do first, last security, that's not legal, first security.
first and security?
First and security. And, we do prorate if people move in partway through a month, but the way that we do that is we prorate it and the prorate goes to the second month, so you're always paying for the full first month, but if you moved in partway through the first month, the second month. That's smaller.
Gotcha.
And your leases are 12-month? Do you do incentives if they do like 2 years? A lot of, they do like a month free, do you sign up a 2-year lease?
We've done incentives for 14-month leases.
Mhm.
I think at one point they were doing 13-month leases. That was a little pre-me, but we haven't done 24, 20. We haven't gotten that far out at this point.
You haven't had anybody move in and terminate their lease already?
We had somebody say that they were going to move out and give notice and then not go. But we haven't had anybody physically actually go yet. It's just kind
And
of.
that was a while ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's paying his rent and we kind of said, are you still going? Yeah.
So the ones that are rented now are one bedrooms, that you're saying that the majority of the rented is 1 bedrooms now?
No, I'm saying there just are a lot more bedrooms
Okay.
than any others.
It's a good mix of what has been
Yeah.
rented out.
Any of them spread out with on the floors or is there, because they get choice of the apartments, are they spread out or are they clustered?
It's almost like a,
So this one.
yeah, go for it.
All right, they're more on the second floor. The second floor was less expensive, so those have definitely, the second floor is almost completely occupied. And the fifth floor would be the next most occupied, and even though it's the most expensive, I think it's considered, no neighbors above, better view. And I would say the third and fourth are kind of a mix of, like less than the second and the fifth.
Just to go back to something you said at the start, so Depot District is its own entity, a combo of Galvin and Baxter. What is the corporate entity's name?
That's a Depot District LLC.
Great, and that's who tenants are writing their checks to.
It's who's on the assessment roll.
Are the ADA apartments spread out too, or are they only on the first or second floors or whatever? How's it ADA apartments separated?
I believe they're spread out. There's nothing on the first floor is all community space, so the ADAs I believe are spread out on the different floors.
And how are you finding people, market reacting to the retail space? I know I saw Lily's, the dog shop. At least, so the whole
Our
person.
third is still available. We have one commercial space still available, and the second commercial space is going through the planning board currently. Blanking on the name.
I think it's a wine bar.
GG's one bar.
And the commercial space was excluded from the pilot because the IDA is not able to support retail projects. So they have a separate assessed value.
Well, they don't have a separate assessed value, they have a partial exemption for the apartment building, which is the
There's a separate
overall
account.
majority of the assessment, but
But
yeah.
there's a separate account. Retail,
Heather, if I could,
a separate tax section.
Heather, would be great, separate apartments would be great, and I could follow up with you and the assessor as to the assessment of the property.
Yeah, that would be entirely the assessor, I have nothing to do with that, but.
It's not unclear to me exactly what is assessed. And
We can talk about it.
I've asked the assessor multiple times and I got a response.
The assessor.
The assessor. Or if the mayor could facilitate, I'd be happy to. But there's confusion on our end as to what is being assessed.
What's the final number?
We'll just keep it what is being assessed. It's not clear.
Like what the parcel breakouts
There's
are.
one tax parcel number, and it's not clear to me how the assessed value on the commercial units are being separately calculated from the portion of project that is exempt under the pilot.
Well, and right now, the commercial is under Hudson Depot.
There's one,
Lost LLC, and
there's one,
there's still a Galvin entity on the tax roll this
there's-
afternoon.
as of 2025, I haven't looked at the tentative roll,
Yeah.
but as of 2025, there's one tax law
Right,
for both exempt and non.
There's two tax parcels now.
I didn't see, because I was looking at it earlier today, trying to figure out their payment and whether their payment was tied to what it was supposed to be. And it looked like there was one to me, because it's one with an assessed value of whatever it was, halfway built, 3.7 million or whatever it was. But then there was like 3.3 million of it was exempt. And the
But then,
balance, I
but then there's
assume was.
another that says formerly part of, I can show you after.
Well, if we could maybe connect with your office and the assessor's office and just try to figure this out, because I have not ever got a full explanation as to how this is done.
Okay, I could,
There's two. We got it here.
That is correct, yeah. Just, I wanted a question about the LLC, since there's something of a corridor there, properties that previous iteration of Galvin has and this new iteration has. Is this the only entity that, is this building the only entity that this particular LLC has?
Yeah, that's the Depot District only owns
Again, I just only what Kevin read.
this apartment building. It doesn't own the brewery building,
Okay,
doesn't own the property across the street, doesn't own
that's what I
return
thought you were
brewery across the street.
Gotcha.
Like this is a special purpose only, special purpose entity formed solely to own this building.
Thank you.
And that is the brewery is the second parcel, so I misspoke.
Yeah, the brewery is owned, don't quote me. I think it's owned either by Galvin Ish's Foundation, which I'm pretty like, or it could be Galvin Housing Resources or Galvin Asset Management.
Or Galvin Civic, or Galvin.
It would not be Galvin Civic.
Okay, then,
Galvin Civic
narrowed it down.
only owns the Armory.
How many ADA parking spots do you have on site?
Four, maybe? I wanna say it's four, not positive.
Sorry,
More.
I saw an answer. We could get you an answer to that question.
There's a request as to whether you would permit questions up during the public comment period from people on the call.
Yes, I'm happy to. So, we'll start with people online. Please raise your hands.
Unfortunately for public meetings,
Oh, we can't do that?
we don't have hand raising.
Oh, sorry.
I think
Yeah.
Margaret Morris had a question, I know. And perhaps Ron.
Yes,
Question.
can you hear me, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, so last year while I was still on the IDA, I had a discussion with Mr. Toy about the possibility of looking at restructuring the pilot to increase the number of units at the 80% level and to potentially reduce the 130% AMI down to 120, 110. Chris Brown, I believe, Mike, did a demographic analysis, and it's fairly clear that there really are not that many people in the 130% channel, so to speak. So I would like to know whether anything has moved forward on that, because clearly there is a need, given that there was no difficulty in renting out the 80% units. Has there been any movement on increasing the number of units available at 80%? My most recent conversation with Mr. Toy was that you were actually discussing that with your various partners to see if that was feasible. So I would like to know what the status is on that.
I guess we're not really prepared to comment on the status of that conversation, but there's multiple parties that would need to be in alignment to make that change. So yeah.
Okay.
Most of it.
Can you at least comment on whether or not the conversation is still ongoing?
We are interested in seeing this building get leased up as quickly as possible, and if that interest makes it appealing to change the pricing mechanism, we're going to explore that. But as I said, we have partners and we also have financial lenders that make this deal quite complex to changing the pricing once the building is up and those partnerships have been formalized.
So my last comment on that would be to the current IDA. In the event that Bard comes back with a proposal to renegotiate the pilot to allow for a change in the structure of the number of units rented at various thresholds, I would strongly encourage you to look at that carefully to make sure that we can actually provide housing for those most in need.
I'll just reiterate that Bard is not an owning party in this deal. And
Yes, I understood that. I understood that from your opening comments.
John Toy will speak to you in his capacity as the board member of Galvin.
Thank you, Council President Morris.
Ron?
Anyone else who is online have any questions before we move to those in the audience here in the room? All right, thank you. I'll now open up to any questions from the public.
I have a question. My name is William Moffitt. I am the managing director for the Hudson Castle Housing Coalition. I'm also a graduate of Bard and ACOC that is from Galvin, Bard. I'm curious if we can understand correctly, you said that Bard now owns Galvin, but how does that relationship work with the Bard owning all of Galvin? Doesn't Galvin have many entities and is that, or is there one entity that Galvin Bard now owns?
Galvin Initiative Foundation is a charitable trust. Sole trustee of Galvin Initiative Foundation resigned. And Bard was appointed as the successor trustee of Galvin Initiative. Bard then appointed a board of directors that makes decision making for Galvin. Galvin continues to be its own distinct entity, separate and apart from Bard, its own board of directors. It has their own independence to make determinations that they want, or what's in the best interest of Galvin.
I heard Mayor Ferris ask who created the board. Can you just repeat that? How was that board formed?
Bard appointed board.
Or who and Bard? Like that's what I'm curious. Like
I don't see how that's relevant to like discussion and here.
okay, an email went out to the tenants. Someone was mentioning that the email went out to tenants asking, don't even know the apartments that were available. Has Bard considered or discussed offering these apartments to graduate students of Bard?
Not with any preference, that would put them in a different bucket than any other applicant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Yes, Lloyd.
I didn't quite catch all of that, but, it's my understanding that you said there was two boards, so there's a board for, Galvin Initiatives. And then the trustee was replaced. Am I tracking so far?
Keep going.
Okay, and so there was board members for, Galvin Initiatives, and there were board transfers or new board members appointed as part of this process also. Now, you look like you're ready to respond. Am I on track so far?
I thought you were done. Keep going.
I thought, am I on track so far?
Keep going and I'll.
All right, and then, now I got the
A couple of packages, I bring it up.
suggestion or intimation that there was a separate board that Bart constituted. Am I off track on this understanding? Am I misunderstanding what I think I heard?
Galvin Initiatives Foundation, which is a charitable trust. At this point in time, Bard has control of the charitable trust. Bard appointed a board of directors to manage the affairs of the charitable trust. As you know, there are multiple Galvin entities, some of which are not-for-profit corporations as well. There is no owner of any of these entities. These are distinct, separate entities governed by either the not-for-profit corporation law or the estates, powers, and trusts law. So these are all public entities with a board of directors having been appointed by Bard.
All right, do I just may further clarify for myself? So what I'm getting from this is Galvin is pulled away from Galvin Initiatives. Bard is
No.
now in control.
No,
So what are
Eric Galloway resigned as sole trustee of Bard, of Galvin. Bard is now the sole trustee.
we're talking Galvin Initiatives or
Yes,
only Galvin Initiatives?
no, all like, I don't understand what you mean, only
Well,
yes,
it's multiple entities.
correct.
Did Eric resign from
The other entities are not-for-profit corporations, they have their own board of directors.
So, okay, all right, so that would be probably no. Well,
So,
yeah,
But yes,
so basically, the board of Galvin Initiatives. A representative participates at the board of the ownership of this entity that owns the apartment house.
Yeah, I mean,
And with other partners.
with other partners subject to the operating agreements,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. All of which, by the way, the operating agreement, I think your council got, I mean, So, you know, it's not just, when people say BARD, BARD is deciding nothing. Board of directors of BARD is not, are not making determinations. There's a board of directors that appointed for making these determinations, these decisions. And that board of directors is not the same board that governed those organizations prior to the given. Thank
And
you.
is Galvin Initiatives the one that's in the partnership for the Depot District?
No, there's a,
There's a whole other Galvin entity?
no. Galvin Initiatives has a membership interest in an entity that has a membership interest in.
Got it.
Yes,
Eddie Melendez, I live at 229 Allen Street, Galvin property. What about the entities or properties that are owned by an LLC of Galvin, that's owned by a Galvin entity, that's owned by a Galvin entity, that's owned by a Galvin?
I'm gonna jump in here. There's current litigation that I believe you're gonna lead to, and I think.
No. I just wanna know, I got a letter that said,
I'm not gonna.
That's exactly the issue that I'm talking about, and unfortunately. There are people in this room and online who are party to that, and to avoid any issues. I'm not
no,
gonna
the
know.
question is,
Eddie,
we're having a discussion about entities, I'm asking a question.
Relevant.
Eddie,
Discussion is really about silence.
It's not relevant for this one.
Yeah. At this time, I'm gonna close comments to the public again, because litigation is ongoing, and it would be unfair to either parties, any of the parties, to discuss that in a
Well,
public setting.
somebody else asked the question, what happens to the Galvin LLC, who owns it?
Eddie?
To this project because they're not involved in this entity.
Yeah, all right,
I do have one more question.
yes, Dominic.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
Ron, yes.
I just have a question, wanted to bring it back to the, can you hear me okay?
They're kind of cutting in and out, we'll give it a shot.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go
I was
ahead.
just curious about the rental status of the property at 50%. It sounds like based on the discussion, that's below your projections. How far below your projections are you at this point? And as you project forward, what are your projections for future rental status in the coming months? I'll sign off. I'll go mute again.
Thanks, Ron.
I mean, I don't really have a great answer to that question. We'd like to be further ahead than we are now. We have financial terms that, you know, when we progress in our lease ups, we get to move our loan to perm. So, you know, our goal is to get there as soon as possible. We don't have a set date for that goal, so sorry, I can't provide a better answer.
Dominic, you had a question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, and Ron must have read my mind because it was the same thing. So my question is, so you're at 50%, when do you feel that you might put something on a table? Where is your bottom line? To put what Margaret mentioned on the table, you know, because you said you have lenders and everything, obviously. The lenders want these things rented, whether it's going to be under a different agreement, but they rather have you at 95, 100% rather than 50 or 60%. So when do you feel it's going to be a good time to make that deadline or decision?
I don't know if that sounds, but
I don't know, right? Someone's on
you know, I guess I'll just acknowledge that our interests are very much, as you just declared them to be. There's a cost to vacancy on this project if we want it to be leased up. The balance between a slow lease up at the current pricing and adjusting prices down is something that we have to have those discussions internally with our financing partners and our equity partners, and it's not appropriate for me to address it in public here until we have that plan fully hashed out, if it's gonna happen at all. So.
Yeah, I imagine, because I imagine it opens a can of worms because somebody's already in there already at a certain rate, and then you go and lower it, and you gotta have an issue with somebody saying, well, my rent's, you know, different or something, right? So it got a lot of considerations to it.
We have a lot of considerations, yeah.
All right,
And when you do, when the financing, if you do have internal conversations, and you come back to us and share. It would be nice if, it sounds like you were saying earlier that the biggest problem that you're encountering, Mark, is people coming in that don't have enough cash in the bank to give you 2 months. They do qualify for the income, they do have. So-
I think it's the cost, it's the cost of, right, it's
It's the-
having.
So it's the rents.
Yeah,
And
yeah, no, well, the 2 months is your first month.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, first it's security is what you said.
No, it's not, I don't think that it's that, it literally is the.
It's the rent.
income, yeah, the income and the amount of the rents.
Alright. Thank you all. Appreciate you taking questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Look
much.
forward to keeping this conversation going.
Thank you.
I'm hearing good things about the pet stores.
Good. I'm glad. Please patronize them.
Susie? Alright. All right, everyone. Next on our agenda is the Administrative Director's Report. Turn it over to you.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All your correspondence.
Please, if anyone wants to have conversations, please step outside.
During the course of the last month or two, we've been working closely with Heather in terms of getting all of the pilots sorted out. As you know, I said earlier, from the date of closing until the completion date of a project, the project owner pays taxes based on the current assessment, current tax rates. We then have to, when the project is completed, convert the pilot over to the fixed agreement that is included on the schedule, included in the pilot agreement. And with respect to both the pocketbook factory and with respect to the depot district, their completion date was determined to be December 31st. And as a result, those are in pretty good shape in terms of determining when the payments will be due, what the amount will be, both using assessed values and the project schedules where appropriate. With respect to Providence Hall and Skylar Court, that project closed in July of last year. And they paid 50% of the minimum for the remaining 6 months of 2025. The agreement provides that there will be not an adjustment, but a reconciliation, a true up, if the percentage of rent which is required under the pilot exceeds what the minimum was. They provided us with rent roll data to show that this year they did not exceed the amount of rent that would have triggered a true up. They also then have paid for in full, I think it's 153,000 plus or minus their payment for 2026. They decided not to do it in 2 payments. And we're sorting out an issue that came up because that project closed in July. So it wasn't there's no opportunity to put that project back on the tax, take it off the tax rolls and apply the exemption till this time this year. And so they did get bills from the city, and in some instances they paid those. So we are working through it with them, and we're actually holding a check for the full amount while we determine what the full credit is based on how much they paid through April 1st after receiving bills. Part of the issue was if they didn't pay the bill, it's hard to figure out how to void the bill. And so we decided to do that internally with the IDA, and there'll be a full report on that after we make all those adjustments. We did have a meeting with the owners and representatives of Hudson Mansion. I met with them and the mayor met with them briefly as a courtesy meet and greet. They're still working on their financing stack, and they're moving forward. The top of Warren Street project continues to move forward with construction. If you drive by there, it's all fenced in and people are working. And we have had no new project inquiries as of this date. So that concludes my report with respect to projects, unless there are questions, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions from members?
Mike, with 620 with the balance, how does that work?
Chris Shell and I have been working on that, and we're meeting, we sent a letter to the developer. And we have to meet with them, and there are documents that need to be signed, and there's a potential refund due to the IDA because they did use the sales tax exemption. And that will come back to the agency as we meet with them and determine what their plan is. They still have a $500,000 state grant. And I know they're still talking with people with respect to investing in the project, but they would have to start over with the IDA.
Right.
Because the IDA approvals that were originally approved only have a 3-year life to them. So we hope to have a more definitive answer for you on that by the next meeting.
If the sales tax exemption comes back, do we have to turn around and then give it to the state because it's a sales tax exemption?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it was a mortgage tax exemption, I'm sorry.
So do we have to turn around and give it to the county?
Some to the county, some to the city.
Yeah.
Some to the state. But, you know, that's for the IDA to decide how to resolve that at the time that we are able to present it. Any further questions? The next item relates to a FOIL request that we received last week.
Are you taking public comments on, or public questions on that?
Okay, public comments, over, yeah.
Okay, fine, thank you.
I had a email from Quentin Frost asking for information related to the pocketbook factory. There was a formal request of accountability review of the public financial assistance granted to the pocketbook factory. His first request was a compliance review of their adherence to job creation and local hiring requirements. We denied that request because no such record exists. As I said, the project was completed on December 31st. They began January 1, and under the documents that were approved, there was no reporting that was required as of that date. And so there was no opportunity to review it and to create a document that would be provided under FOIL. The second item, updated public reporting on current employment totals, the number of Hudson residents employed, and documentation regarding recent layoffs. We provided the 2025 company annual report compliance letter that was submitted to the state authority budget office. But again, since the project was deemed completed on December 31st, the bulk of that data relates to construction employment and from early startup employment at the hotel and other facilities there. We did, so I did provide that. And not sure that you have, I don't know that the next page, Steve, is
Gave you 3 sheets.
right, but the second page got cut off. So I'll go through it and just provide that to you and public afterwards. The third item that he requested. Need a brief recess, Mr. Chairman. There we go. Third item was a formal assessment of whether the project continues to meet the standards used to justify IDA support. Again, there was no formal assessment that had been completed, so there was no documentation with respect to that that could have been provided. I did provide them with the documents all the legal documents related to the project that would enable you to understand what is going to be required when the appropriate time provided in the agreement requires that documents be submitted. Consideration of enforcement mechanisms such as modifications or clawbacks of financial assistance if the project is out of alignment with its commitments. Again, the documents don't require that information be provided at this 3 months after the project was determined to be completed for us to have made a consideration. Certainly, this board, as part of this, can request that staff do such a consideration. But as of the date of the FOIL request, there was no discussion here on that would be documented to be able to provide documentation. Access to all public records related to job creation, reporting, project compliance, communication between the developer and the IDA. And again, I did provide extensive documents. I provided the entire closing file from our attorney. I included information relating to the specific conditions and the regulatory agreement that provide specific details that related to the requirements of the IDA. And with respect to the request related to us evaluating the termination of employees, I think that's certainly beyond the scope of the IDA. That's certainly something between the employer and the employee. I did email Quentin and asked if he would like to sit down and go through those documents together. He said he was out of the country, and I said that I would reply. And I didn't want him to think that because I had denied certain requests, that it was a lack of willingness to provide the documentation, but that it just didn't exist at this point. And I suggested that he contact me when he returns to sit down and go through the material, so he can too evaluate whether the IDA is following through on its responsibilities to monitor the compliance with projects.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions on this topic?
And is the governance committee, is that who does the compliance? Who does the compliance? The committee?
The staff would do the initial compliance, and then Chris, I would assume it would go to the governance committee and then to the full board.
Yeah, I mean, but I think you mean in a particular case where there's a question about compliance monitoring. I mean, the staff is definitely supposed to be doing the compliance monitoring and then providing the records to ABO and to the board if there are any issues that are raised in connection with that, right?
And I did circulate to all of you that documentation and the documentation that we had provided under the FOIL request. And that information has all of the responses in it that I sent Friday. And we can have them available for anyone else interested in seeing them. And I apologize for this copy.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. At this time, I will open up the floor to public comments.
Hi, Elliot Hassels again. I just wanted to say HCAC is a tenants' rights advocacy group, but also a community advocacy. We have a very close connection with the downtown community, and in even my own experience, I work at Avalon Auto, it's the second job I do events. And even in my own experiences, I've been realizing that Pocketbook Factory has not been working with the local community. And we've gotten many calls of people saying they just lost their jobs at Pocketbook and they're hiring people from this city. So I just want to reiterate what Quentin had asked, and also say that I'd be more than willing to sit with you on Quentin's behalf while he's out of the country to go over those paperwork with you, because I would love to understand it better as well.
I'm not opposed to that, but you're not the person that made the FOIL request, and he didn't make it in the name of your organization, so you might have to, you might have to, at least.
I'll work that out,
Understand.
yeah, I totally understand
Yeah.
that, thank you.
It's not a lack of willingness, it's just,
I just want to reiterate what that was said, so that they have.
and we,
Thank you.
and I don't know if he shared with you what we,
He did.
sent.
Yeah.
I think what you would want to look at is, the report that was sent to the ABO.
Yeah.
And, there is, in any of these businesses, a certain ramp up. And they've been in business now 4 months, and so they should be getting to where they should be, at those numbers.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone online?
Yeah, right, sorry, thank you. Anyone online? No? Okay. Hearing, sorry, Blake.
There is that bus going around, because I've heard it independently.
Hmm.
About locals marketing a shot,
Okay,
just saying.
thank you. All right,
I have a quick follow-up to that, I guess.
Yes.
According to this document that you provided here, the project operators are required to do a quarterly and the annual report, so. Right. So the quarterly would be 30 days after the end of the quarter, so it's sure due now, but it wasn't so, no. Well, I thought shortly, there's, yeah, so we'll have some updates. Yeah, just so everybody's aware, there is some updates.
There are some reporting requirements.
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Uh. Hearing no more comments, I get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second, excellent. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all those online. Thank you all here in person.